Thank you very much, sir. To grace this event, we also have with us Ms. Ojasvita Srivastava. Ma'am is a General Counsel at Securities AMEA, a Swedish multinational company headquartered in Stockholm. She heads the legal function for region Africa, Middle East, and Asia Pacific. In her previous stints, she has worked as a regional legal counsel, APAC, at G4's senior legal manager at Reliance Communications, and also practiced independently before the Supreme Court, Delhi High Court, and various district courts in Delhi. She is the founder of Project Abhimanyu, an NGO established in 2015 providing free legal guidance to the first generation lawyers and to law students. So far, she has worked with law students across 80 colleges all over India while conducting workshops and seminars. The NGO presently has 70 mentors from across the country, including general counsels of MNCs, law firms, partners, and highly successful litigators. Ma'am has completed her LLB honors from Goa with full scholarship and also acquired an LLM in commercial and corporate law from Queen's Mary University of London. Besides these, she has various certificates in leadership, managerial finance, and legal process management. We welcome you, ma'am, and I request you to please come forward and express your thoughts.
Good morning, everyone. Very happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you, Dr. Professor Preet and Satinder, for actually inviting me to this college. Thank you so much. I love interacting with students. Like Stuti, just said, I run an NGO called Project Abhimanyu, where I do this as part of, my engagement outside work. And therefore, it's really good to be in college and to interact with students. I would have loved to stay on and really listen to the entire panel discussion, but I have a hard stop at 11:30. So I will take this opportunity to actually address more the students and the topic, and then leave you with a thought or with the ideas of how you can actually build on this topic as a profession, right? So when we talk about restorative justice and mediation laws, does any one of you want to volunteer and share what is restorative justice? What do you understand by restorative justice? Any student, anybody here? You're all here for it. Yes, please. आप हिंदी में बोल सकते हैं अगर
गुड मॉर्निंग। इसमें मैं हिंदी में बताना चाहूँगा कि बेसिकली ये पुनर्स्थापन है कि जो क्रिमिनल्स हैं और जो हमारे समाज की जो मुख्य धारा से अलग हो गए हैं, तो उनके लिए ये एक सिस्टम बनाया गया है क्रिमिनल जस्टिस में कि भाई उनको कैसे रिहेबिलिटेशन करके हम उनको ऑफेंडर्स को या विक्टिम्स को हम उनके अपने मेन स्ट्रीम में ला सकते हैं। थैंक यू।
Very nice. Thank you so much. I think all of you have pretty much covered it all. Basically, restorative justice is more than just justice, right? There has a restorative part to it, which means what? Like Principal Sir, said in his initial speech, we're talking about relationships, repair, restoration, respect, right? One person committed a crime and another person is the victim. Both of them need to get some restoration, need to get some sense of justice. Somebody did a theft, okay, and you send them to jail, okay? The person who lost whatever they lost have not really got anything back, right? He would have benefited more if he could have got back some of that money, right? Or if he could have got back some kind of a, compensation. And the person who actually did the crime, maybe at the time there were such circumstances that he was forced to do it, right? He just got caught, right? So maybe there were some reasons because of which he had to feed his family or whatever may be the reason, but there was some situation in which he was forced to do it, right? So he did do a crime, but it will not be a restorative justice for everybody by just sending him to the jail. That's where the concept of restorative justice comes in play, right? And when we talk about restorative justice and mediation laws, what we are talking about is when a crime is committed, like let's be very practical, when a crime is committed, we are all very angry. There is a lot of emotions involved, right? There is a situation where people would want to get back revenge, right? But as time passes by And as somebody who is not as emotionally involved in the situation, that person will be able to look at it in a more distant way, in a more impartial way, right? And that is the right person, a mediator of sorts, who can come in and try and restore that justice, right? So how do we make sure that both the victim as well as the offender get justice? Yeah. Now, I'm a general counsel. I work with a corporate, right? For corporate, for business, time is money. And we would evaluate very seriously whenever we are looking at any kind of a litigation or a dispute, if it is worth it, right? So restorative justice and mediation would never work or are not relevant for corporates. They are actually relevant for individuals who are affected. So if there are crimes committed by individuals, those are the kind of people who would actually be looking at restorative justice. So I would encourage you to actually go back and read more on restorative justice and mediation laws. But mediation laws have actually come up as a very interesting way of solving a problem, right? Two people have a dispute, and they would always try to solve it mutually, okay? But sometimes they are not able to solve it mutually, so there would be a third person, a mediator, who would come in and help and try to solve that problem for them. But a mediation is not an adjudication, right? It is not a court. It is something that people do out of mutual consent. I have a dispute with Aditya, and we both decide to go in for mediation. The resolution of this mediation has to be by mutual consent between me and Aditya. The beauty of that is that there is a finality to that particular resolution that you get, right? Because both of us have agreed to it. So it doesn't matter, we're not going to fight, we're not going to go to a court, we're not going to appeal against it. As opposed to an arbitration, where you can appeal against it if you're not happy with it, right? So when it comes to mediation, in the sense of restorative justice, if you think about it practically, put yourself in the shoes of a mediator who is trying to work towards restorative justice. What do you think would be the first thing that you would think about? Think of yourself as a mediator, and you're trying to work in a case of restorative justice. What was the first thing you would think about? Win-win situation for both the sides, okay. But think practically. Put yourself in their shoes, in the shoes of a mediator. What would you think about?
What extent of harm has been done to the victim to be able to reconcile between them. And whether reconciliation will be required or not. Whether the criminal is a chronic case, incorrigible case, and no repair is possible, or a repair is possible.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir. May I know your name?
Manhar.
Manhar. So this is exactly what I was looking for. When you're in a court of law, you're only looking at facts. You're only looking at hard evidence. But as a mediator, you're looking at the psychology, you're looking at the emotions. You're looking at what exactly is going to help both the parties come to a mutual discussion or mutual agreement. Right? It is not just the facts. It is not just you did this crime, this is what the IPC says or the Nyaya Samhita says, and therefore you're going to go behind the bar. Right? So it's more about how is it that was, that the crime happened. What is the psychology? Both of the victim as well as the offender. Right? So when we are mediating, we have to think like that. We also have to think about what is it that the two parties themselves are not able to figure out, which is why you as a mediator are required there. Right? Whenever there's a dispute, most likely they would try to resolve it themselves first. Nobody wants to go to a court or fight a case, right? Or go to a mediator because it's expensive, it's not cheap, right? Any of these institutional mediations are actually really expensive. So if you are going to a third party and trying to resolve that, before you do that, you would try to resolve it yourself between the victim or the two parties involved, right? But what was it that did not allow them to resolve it? As a mediator, it's so important to try and think, why is it that these two parties were not able to come together? Is it because of the relationship? Is it because there's a lack of respect? Is it because there's a lack of trust? Is it because there is ego involved? Those are the things that as a mediator you have to think before you go into acting as a mediator for restorative justice. Yeah. So with that, I think I would leave the other panelists to elaborate more. I just wanted to, share a few words, a few ideas to get you excited about this topic. I think mediation is an excellent area of law, and once you graduate from law school, you have to to be really good. It is good to have a niche, a particular area of law that you specialize in. I think mediation is an excellent area to specialize in. There is a huge scope with a lot of institutional arbitration and institutions of mediation coming up within India as well. Of course, most of our mediation centers are catering to Indian mediations only. We don't have as many international mediation centers where two parties from two different countries are coming to India and mediating. It's more if there's at least one Indian party involved. But hopefully, by the time you graduate another 5 years or 10 years down the line, we will have international mediation centers which will cater to international markets. With that, thank you so much. I wish you all the very best. Thank you.